And they were EPT weeklies. They were matches where you're facing off against 8 or 9 or something opponents all in one day. You don't necessarily know who you're going to be playing next. You're finding out about all of it. There's no time to prepare. Unlike this format where this guy is going to be coming in the top left-hand side of the map into a match where his opponent is going to have prepared for him. Can he handle it? It is going to be the Red Protoss, Krystianer.
And his opponent spawning up the top right for the Shopify Rebellion, looking to join his teammate in the playoffs and kiss the group stage goodbye. It is Lambo.
Oh, Lord. And I'll just really quickly, because I did not mention it, and I always like to at least make mention of it once during the series. Krystianer going to be representing Starlight Twinkle team. I double-checked the name. I had a brain fart for a moment.
It's funny. It actually, the logo looks just enough like TSM where I was like, what? I know that he is a part of Starlight Twinkle, but I'm like, I don't see it often because we don't, I don't use the logos mod, so I don't see that like full-size version of it. I was like, oh, that's quite interesting. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Oh, Krystianer. A rare little misstep right there where he actually lets the probe mine with its very first harassment trip. Normally, I would basically never even bring that up, but that is something that's like maybe indicative of like a little bit of the tiniest bit. I'm not gonna pretend like, oh my god, he's gonna lose the game. He let the probe mine right away.
Oh my god, he's mentally defeated.
But it's like, it's one of those things that when you expect the most from yourself and you make that little misstep, you're like, crap. It just doesn't feel great.
Yeah, not the best feeling, because you want to be able to just continue to use that probe to deny mineral mining, since only one worker can mine from those mineral patches at a time, so it kind of bounces the drones around and everything. It's kind of annoying. But, a lot of lings coming out over here for Lambo. This is always a fun thing for a Protoss player to deal with, and you can see that Lambo's trying to hide some of those lings for now.
Fun is a word that I don't know many other Protoss players would describe it as, but it is...
It's type 2 fun.
It's type 2 fun. It is real difficult to deal with, and Lambo is continuing to commit to this. I think he's going to pull drones with this attack. He's sneaking around the map with a bunch of them. Ghost River, of course, a very short rush distance and also a very wide open natural. Adept so far really has no idea what is happening, and I don't think the Shade saw the lings. It only saw the right side of the mineral line as well. All the information Krystianer has seen so far has just been shy of what he needs to see. Is he chrono boosting out anything? Is he getting a quicker gateway or a quicker wall? I don't think so. This is looking real rough.
Lings, they made their way into the wall. The pylon's gonna get depowered. The probe pull is way too late. There's no additional adept coming on out. There is one gateway on the map right now. The recall comes. This is so tough.
It is brutal. He did recall both of those adepts, but only a little bit of HP. There's that ling speed completing. Lambo is continuing to pump lings. He's not going to get baited into going into the main before he has an overwhelming number. Massive probe pull for Krystianer, but I talked about prep, and Lambo has come prepared if ever there was preparation. Krystianer knows there's not a whole lot he can do, and he just taps out right there. Lambo, well, he was cooking. And he cooks himself up a game number 1 victory.
Oh, that's brutal, man. That is just not the way you want your series to start. You're already kind of coming in against a powerhouse like Lambo, and game number 1 already slipped through your fingertips just like that in a very frustrating kind of way. As I think probably one of the most frustrating ways for Protoss players to lose to Zerg is there's a big ling flood and your wall is just open. You just didn't see it coming. And if there's like a ling or like a probe pull a little bit faster or something, or you see some of those lings that are making their way across the map, you can get the full wall in. You have a chance at trying to hold on. You could play that kind of chaotic re-walling game while you get out more units and try and get up a shield battery to heal. No, you don't get a chance for any of that. None of that gets to happen. You just lose the power to the pylon, and then you just feel like, oh my god, it's over. Like, you're pulling the probes, you're hoping that maybe you can make some miracle happen, but you kind of know and deep in your heart, no, it's already done. Like, that one moment already sealed it.
Yeah, exactly. And Lambo managed his opponent's vision so perfectly there, and he did something even a little extra, where he only showed 2 of the first 6 lings instead of 4. which is like even more like that has you thinking like, oh, did he cut the corner and not actually build 4 lings? Can I drop a pylon on this third? Maybe I shouldn't do it. That's a little bit greedy. You know, maybe he's hiding the other lings. And you're just thinking your mind is very much trapped in this really simple mind game that Lambo could have been playing when it's in reality a completely different all-in mind game that totally catches you off guard. And I got to give kudos to Lambo for the build order choice to start things off. And we have spawning up in the top left for the Shopify Rebellion with a great start to things. It is Lambo.
Down here on the bottom right-hand side of the map, the red Protoss player from Starlight Twinkle. He is Krystianer. Yeah, I don't know if this is also like adding in and it's an intentional decision that you were talking about Lambo making, but even just having the drones mining on the closer side of the mineral patch to where the Adept would scout in, so if it did get some vision, it would just see the drones mining. It wouldn't see the empty side of the mineral line as much. Like even small little things like that. I don't know if that was 100% intentional or if that was just kind of how things worked out.
Yeah, I think it was 100% because you have to manually micro to get a stack in the natural to have that. I think that was 100% intentional, and I think that was actually a direct result of the design of the map too, where it's just a little bit further back, and so it's very easy to kind of cut corners on your scouting and not do something like go all the way into the mineral line. Because if he goes all the way into the mineral line, only sees 4 drones, sees everything, then he's probably building that second gateway quite quickly. He's probably prepared for that attack. There's a very good chance at the very least. But Lambo really sold that brilliantly. And I'm just, well, I'm impressed because it did mean that my little theory about the minerals was very clearly correct, right? You let those minerals mine and that was game over.
Yeah, exactly. But we are going to move into game number 2, and Lambo is not going for the same kind of cheeky play or all-in it looks like so far. He's going to have 2 lings being made and everything, but he's got the double queens on the way, next Overlord and Zergling speed and stuff starting on up. But this is a new start here for Krystianer, an opportunity to try and turn things around and play a more normal game. And he's going to get to go for a similar kind of opening as he did last game. He goes for the Adept, adds on this Stargate, is going to go probably into an Oracle, I imagine, and actually have a chance to play. I mean, not to like discredit like a game of cheese and everything, but that last game, when you play a game like that as a Protoss player and you lose that way, it can feel like I didn't get to play a real game in StarCraft. You know what I mean? It is a real game in StarCraft. It's a very valid win there for Lambo, but it feels like you didn't get to play the game that you wanted to.
No, it feels like you've been cheated a little bit. And that's very annoying, and you're just like, ugh, like, I didn't see it. Like, God, and it's a frustrating way to start a series. To what I was talking about earlier, by the way, Lambo does go for just the 2 lings here, and will take that third nexus or that third hatchery. No denial attempt from Krystianer, not in earnest. And Lambo, so he kind of gets away with a little bit of greed here. Will looks like lose this 1 tumor. That's a little bit annoying. Krystianer, though, is a player that very often likes to shade his adepts forward, but as we can see here, maybe a little bit scared of what happened in the previous game, going to elect to not go for it.
Well, full wall up will come up there for Krystianer, as he will now be able to deal with any kind of lings that would try and make their way across the map, but not going to necessarily be the case this game, as those lings are just sticking around back at home to deal with the adepts and make sure that they can't shade forward and pick off any probes. But just the 1 Oracle made. Not actually going to bother to go for a second Oracle or third Oracle, just going straight into a Twilight Council and a robotics facility, looking to get up into that kind of mid-game tech more than really worrying about early game damage.
Yes, what Krystianer, and I alluded to this in the pregame, he loves single Oracle into very quick, oh, nice save right there from Lambo, into very, very quick double gas of the natural, Twilight Council, Robotics Facility, and a Templar Archives. This is a super old school build that used to be really popular around the beginning of Legacy of the Void, maybe like 2017, I guess that's not beginning, but like 2016, 2017, even I think towards 2018. But it is a very quick Archon drop to follow this up. Lambo's defense so far has just been perfect. He hasn't lost a single drone. Yo, Lambo is absolutely just trivializing that 1 Oracle, even with the awkward position between the bases. And now we are going to see Lambo getting into the main base. He beelines it in there, will find the Templar Archives, And he is, of course, going to know that this is the MO from Krystianer. Always good to confirm what you were expecting already. This is such a good start for Lambo.
No, it's a phenomenal start. Literally, the one kill that Oracle has gotten is a larva.
Yeah.
Something that truly had no opportunity to do anything. And frankly, I think if there's one unit you're willing to lose, it's probably a larva.
Yes, there are very few situations where you're like super upset about that. Oh, he even finds the double adept. Obviously, Krystianer wanted to pair this with the double Archon drop and get a little bit annoying with that. Lambo scouts out not just the adepts and kills them, he also finds the War Prism, so he knows where to position his queens. This is so freaking good for the German Zerg right now.
Yeah, this is brutal. This is actually a little bit brutal to watch. Queens are going to start taking some damage there. They should have enough energy for a transfuse relatively soon, but nice focus fire there on the War Prism. Gets it very, very low. And that means that suddenly Krystianer has a lot less room to play with these Archons. He can't really be as aggressive because that War Prism simply is so close to dying now.
This is a ludicrously clean start from Lambo right now. He is already on 68 drones and counting. He built 4 roaches just to keep him safe. Immortal on a really bad, awkward rally right here. I think the Oracle finally getting its first 2 drone kills here. Oh my god, that Immortal, it needs to get recalled, because if Lambo finds this, that is... Oh. That's quite interesting. I wonder if he put it in that position on purpose, knowing that it's there. One queen finally going to go down. Krystianer finally able to get a little bit of damage. But Lambo's economy is just so superior to that of his opponent. Oh my god, okay. Well, he clearly did not notice that initially, but he will notice it now. Lambo, ooh, does he see that with the Ling? I don't think so. If he had, does he have enough Lings to punish it? Kind of. But even then, I think there was a recall available, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, there's recall available. I think the Oracle could also probably help out if it's just, 14 Lings moving across the map or something and try to pick it off. So should be fine and won't be punished for that. But I think it's all a testament to what you were talking about, where Krystianer, it's when things are not going well, other things kind of start to go worse. You feel like, I'm getting... things like that happen, and it causes more mistakes. It's what I almost kind of call like the DDR effect, where it's like you miss a step in a game of like Dance Dance Revolution or Step Mania or something. You don't just miss one step, it causes you to miss like 3 others or the next 4 or something, because you're trying to play catch up, you're trying to get your grip. And I feel like that's maybe a little bit what's kind of been happening for Krystianer, where things have not been going well to start, and then that's kind of just causing a cascading effect where you don't necessarily get to play your best game of StarCraft afterwards when you already feel like you're not playing that well.
No, I think that's a really valid point. Krystianer is going to be going for Storm. Starts out that +2 weapons, but Lambo's going for Roach Hydra. And he's doing it off of a pretty decent economy. He has Roaches in the natural to deal and manage this Zealot drop / warp. And unfortunately, he does kind of lose track of this War Prism, but Queen's at the very least going to be able to get on top of it here. Storm is going to finish momentarily. Lambo, is he going to be able to drop a Contaminate on it? That Overseer was real close.
Oh boy.
Oh, he's just
Storm
shy.
is finishing up just in time for this push, but there are a couple High Templars that are there. We got 3 High Templars out on the map. There's one Storm. I mean, he has to get Magnificent Storm to hold this up. Guardian Shield also being popped. Immortals trying to hold the line. This Zerg army is trying to push forward. That's 3 Storms all used. I don't actually think there's any Storms left over.
Yeah, there is none left over. There are a lot of Immortals, and that Guardian Shield is going to pump. Well, it's going to help the units pump. But this looks so scary. We do have a counterattack on the other side of the map, but I don't think it's going to be able to find the value necessarily. 9 drones have fallen. Lambo is somewhat committed to this, but pure Immortal against Hydras, well, I mean, honestly, like, if you can keep them alive, they will do very well. And actually, this is a lot of damage on the other side of the map. Lambo's going to feel kind of compelled to come back. There is a Warp Prism on the top side still, like very top left. Oh, okay, it is very corralled. I saw it like flashing on the minimap, and I'm like, it should be able to get hit from there. Ravagers morph on in. I wonder if that'll be to try and kill off the Warp Prism. But Lambo down to just 58 drones. He kind of has to kill his opponent now.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a stellar first hold there from Lambo. Now, the second attack over here, this is actually such a good force field. The Immortal is going to end up falling over there, but he actually buys a lot of time, and now he's going to be able to take care of some of the units that were starting to make their way forward. Storms are now available yet again. Oh my god, is Krystianer with double immortal production up still at 8 immortals? Is he starting to make this work, or is losing the double robo gonna be a little bit too much for him to take a loss of?
That is a huge Artosis pylon right there. We've got a recall literally across a small, tiny move. I actually really like that recall, though. I think it's very intelligent, but it will mean it costs him a couple of those immortals. And the pylon just now about to refinish. And these Hydras actually really cooked. Unfortunately, clicking the rocks there in the natural means that the probes won't be able to contribute to the fight, but they still, this is held. And Krystianer, he's on +2 weapons now. He is still on 6 immortals. He has made this hold happen. And Lambo, the counterattack damage was too significant, and he wasn't able to break through. He's going to go for Overlord speed. I don't know if he's going to try and go for like a creep highway and one last ditch attack, but he put just about everything into that first push, and it did not kill.
No, it didn't. It was incredibly well done by Krystianer. I mean, those immortals, like you were saying, versus Hydras, it's so tough to make that work. But he just had really good positioning up on that high ground. The Storms, they weren't absolutely killer every single time, but they were continuing to do just enough damage to try and gradually pick away at Lambo's army. This, like you said, is not over. But I would also say just the Zealot run by went so uncontested. Lambo just did not notice it for such a long time. He killed off 16 or something workers with a very low commitment on that counterattack. That is giving Krystianer this opportunity here in this second game. Can he make the most of it? He has so many High Templars, so many Storms available. He's going to storm the Overlords.
Not something you see every day, and that will make things a little bit awkward for Lambo. Big Storms on the ramp on those Hydras on the right side, and there's still so much Storm energy available. Lambo, can he do this? I don't really think so. He does do a pretty good job of mitigating that one Storm there, but there's still so many Immortals. Krystianer's army just looks so powerful.
Yeah, he just has so many power units. He's doing a nice job controlling it as well. He is going to lose some of the wall in over at the natural expansion, so maybe there's that potential for Lambo to run straight on in, but that's also a death trap because Krystianer has such a powerful army. Game number 2. A frankly incredible hold there from Krystianer with the counterattack damage really securing it. Man, Krystianer truly earned my respect of that hold in game number 2.
It was a very impressive hold. It feels like when you're like the Zerg attacking in that situation, it feels like you're starting to break through because you're like, oh, it's just Immortals left, but it's like 5 Immortals, and you know their barriers are kind of coming off and on and off of cooldown at weird different times, and you're not necessarily sure which one has it, which one doesn't. And you don't have like Lings to get on top of it. Even if you did, they could pull back to the static defense on the high ground. Krystianer managed that defense extremely well. Yeah, just a great defense. And we're going to see what happens here as we get into Alcyone for game number 3. Lambo, he did not need to all in, of course, with that, but he decided he was going for that Roach Hydra push. And obviously it did not work out. And I'm really curious to see what he's going to bring to the table in game number 3.
Yeah, I'm actually very happy for Krystianer in that game, just in the series so far, because picking that up, remember that second game started off really poorly for the most part for Krystianer. You were talking about how he was potentially playing a little bit more afraid or a little bit more scared after game number 1. He wasn't finding any damage. His one Oracle literally found a larva kill for the first couple of minutes that it was alive. His adepts were being found and picked off. He had a bad rally with his Immortals that were moving across the map. So many things were going wrong. The Archon drop didn't find much. Despite that, he managed to turn that game around with that kind of defense. He's picked up a little bit of momentum. As we head into that game number 3 that you were talking about, Steadfast, I really actually think that was so important for Krystianer to be able to do, to have a shot in this next game.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And it's going to be a real confidence booster for him, too. But let's see if this man can refocus after that game number 2. Spawning up at the top right for the Shopify Rebellion, it's Lambo.
And down here in the bottom left-hand side of the map, we have the red Protoss player. He is Krystianer, Starlight Twinkle. Yeah,
that's a frustrating game to lose as Lambo. because you feel like things have gone so freaking well for you. And it really, you said it, it was a dream early game for him. He started off with the Oracle getting no damage done, obviously forced a couple of Spore Crawler morphs, Extractor morphs, but didn't find much. Eventually it did fall. You mentioned the Rally to Mortals. The Archon drop almost got killed. The War Prism actually got dangerously low on HP, and there was a little surround on one of the Archons. Everything went very poorly there. I do want to talk about a little bit what's happened here on Alcyone. Krystianer hard anticipated a gold base first, and he actually got there right when the hatchery would be going down on a 16 hatch at about the 48-second mark. But Lambo just took that expansion at the natural, and Krystianer just kind of ends up looking like, oh, okay, like, I see.
Yeah, okay, I guess that's life.
Yeah.
Took a risk, didn't pay off. But yeah, I think it's definitely cool to see that Krystianer is trying to play a little bit of prediction game with Lambo, trying to at least anticipate a little bit what he could be up to over here as he heads into this next game. And, well, I mean, Probe getting a very, very clear scat out on kind of what's going on to start things off with. So he knows that he isn't going to be dealing with a massive Link Flood immediately off the gate or something, trying to repeat game number 1, which I think is going to be a little bit less likely. But yeah, Krystianer, I think you were making to mention this also in the pregame, that he really is a big believer in finding a style or a build, and he kind of just sticks with it, perfects it. We see that Stargate coming up yet again. We see the double Adept being made yet again. And if what you're saying is true, I won't be surprised to see a single Oracle again. And I guess we'll see if he can make things work a little bit better this game than it did the last game.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that's got to be going through Lambo's head right now is with such a great start. Well, there's probably two things going through his head at this point. He's probably thinking, A, why the hell did I go for that Roach Hydra attack? What was I thinking? I threw away such a great early game. Or he's also thinking like, man, with that start, I still lost. Like, ugh, this feels bad. I feel like it's probably more the first than the second. But it's still going to be something that is not going to feel too great. Good job right here from Lambo, actually mitigating these first two Adepts, but they will shade forward. Ooh, can I get that one drone? Yes. That is going to be at least 2, make it 3 drones. That's a really nice find for Krystianer. Lambo, of course, does clean up the Adepts, and he only loses 1 Ling in addition, but losing your first 3 drones, that is a massive juxtaposition to what happened in game number 2.
Yeah, I mean, exactly what you were saying. It is very different from the last game, and I think that already is just going to give Krystianer a little bit more confidence in this. The Lings are also across the map. The Queen's going to be pushing back this Oracle. Oracle is going to find a drone. I mean, this is already more damage than it got in the last game. It got 2 drones. I guess that's how much damage the Oracle got entirely in the last game.
Yeah.
But the Oracle's still alive and is still around to help out and continue to harass, find stasis traps, help deal with Ling run-bys and things like that when he secures his 3rd. So beautiful start here for Krystianer relative to the last game, but overall just like a kind of nice normal start here for Protoss.
Yeah, that's about the damage you would expect to probably grab. Usually the first Oracle is like a couple drones. If you commit in with the Adepts, you're usually getting 2 to 3 drones, but it's still going to slow the Zerg down a ton. And trading out Adepts to slow down the Zerg is a really nice thing. Let's compare where things go for anyone who's like a little bit less sure of the knock-on effects of StarCraft 2 and specifically Zerg droning. Let's see where Lambo's drone count is at about the 6-minute mark, because I think he was at like 68 drones at that point. He was at the very least at 66, like full 3-base saturation. I think he's going to be struggling to get to that same number around this time. But as I say that, nice little find for Lambo. Getting 2 probes right there is not insignificant.
Yeah, nice little pickup there is going to be definitely a bit annoying as he definitely have to chase those back. Here comes that Archon drop you were talking about, and Lambo, I mean, he's starting some Roach production to help deal with the Archon drop this game. So it's going to actually, even though last game he basically dealt with it with, I want to say, almost entirely just the Queens. This game he is going to be mixing in his Roaches a little bit earlier on and pushing them back alongside the Queens.
Well, he made 4 roaches in the previous game as well that we just didn't see them actually come into the fight because the queens jumped it so hard he didn't even need them to be utilized. Now in this game, Lambo has actually built quite a few more roaches, going up to 8 roaches here. And I wonder if this is a function of the map, if he's thinking like it's easier to get into the main base from that triangle third. So he wants 4 and 4 or what the thought process is. But either way, it's going to be... Well, it's going to be Krystianer not going for it. Lambo is on just 58 drones right now. Of course, he's droning up and will get up to that 3 base full saturation I was talking about right about now, but it's about 30 seconds later. Yes, the roaches are later, blah, 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 but it does show that this is a much more uncomfortable start here for Lambo.
Ooh, nice transfuses. Barely gets that queen back onto creep to transfuse, keep them all alive. 13 more drones in production and a spire being dropped down in vision of the Oracle. Is that intentional or is that unintentional?
Well, I think it started not in vision and then kind of became in vision after a little bit there. Krystianer is really good, by the way, of utilizing this Archon drop at the edge of creep where queens really just don't have a good time dealing with this. He's actually going to be able to find, I think that's 2 drones on the right side. Transfuse will keep these queens alive, but Archon drop finds a little bit of value. Stasis ward in the natural. Good job from Lambo dealing with it. Not going to let that ruin his day, but I am really curious if the mutas are a hard mind game here, what the concept is. Forcing the recall kind of nice, but still. Oh, I like that revelation to see, like, okay, are you going to cancel the Spire? What's your thought? What are you thinking?
Yeah. I mean, there is actually, I was wondering, is there any respect being shown for the mutas? And there wasn't for a while, but he did finally start up a single Phoenix. And like you said, keep an eye on that Spire, making sure that it does complete is also going to just be kind of nice to make sure you know that you're not overcommitting or undercommitting to the mutas. That's always the trick, right? The muta or the Spire play in general, you're always afraid, am I undercommitting or overcommitting?
Yeah, and you got to be so careful because there are players out there. And I mean, most of the top level Zergs are capable of this. I still think of like Dark and Solar as the ones that do it more frequently. But just about every top Zerg is capable of just flipping the switch and going mass muta. And not just like, 8, 11, 15 mutas, but going for that +1 flyer attack. Just really doubling down on the mutas as the composition they go for. But in this case, Lambo's, nope, he's not going for it. He is going to be instead going for a very quick hive behind this. Might use that for a greater Spire and try and go in towards those Broodlords. Oh, I think Krystianer just realized he didn't have charge as that Zealot. Very slowly splitting off from the main army.
Oh, that's really awkward. I mean, he got it up his Prism. He had up basically this nice army composition and actually put a little bit of pressure on the other side of the map to maybe at least poke forward, but...
Oh, he can't go without charge.
No. He's not... Okay, he's chrono boosting it out now, but it's still going to be another, minute or so, even with chrono boost before he actually has that. This is kind of a dangerous maneuver. It even makes it harder to retreat back if you don't have charge.
Yeah, it's going to bottle up and, really cause your other units to be stupider. They're not going to run away. So it's going to be harder to land storms. It's going to be harder for your Immortals to get in position. I am really worried about Krystianer being here. He's got a lot of firepower in this army. And at the very least, he's forcing defensive maneuvers out of Lambo. But Lambo's going to have roach speed. He's got a ton of Ravagers to deal with this. Krystianer, I'm really scared about this as a concept, just committing in here until charge is done. But the storms start off very hard, and charge will complete shortly. Oh, that's a big storm.
Yeah, charge is finally finished as he disengages there, but those storms were massive. Really nice combo play there with the force fields as well. It looks like we do have a quick pause over here as Lambo's asking, are you in fact a beta? I got a massive lag. All right. So hopefully we'll see if these players can get all of that resolved. But also we had very, very short vision of the Greater Spire, I think, also being made there for Lambo.
Yeah. Oh, Krystianer saying, I didn't control my units for 6 seconds.
That's impressive because he was getting some really sick storms off. And I think he maybe he's talking about the seconds where he disengaged or something. But yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, they're asking for an admin here. Lambo was very generous with Euthermal earlier when there was an issue with He was very generous when there was an issue with, things struggling a little bit for Uthermal. But it was very obvious, Uthermal got caught unsieged. I can understand from Lambo's perspective a little bit this time, being like, wait a minute, like, you stormed me. Like, he might be thinking that Krystianer did, in fact, do stuff. We are going to be, we're going to be seeing what happens. This is just an issue where the admins will have to sort things out, and I'm sure they'll come to a resolution. But for now, I think it's just a discussion.
Yeah. And I guess we can just kind of talk a little bit more about the game and stuff. And as the players are looking like they are just going to end up resuming anyways.
Okay, we're going to get right back
good.
into it. Yeah.
Yeah. But we are in a kind of funky place now where Krystianer, he has charge now. So he managed to mount that defense over there, or I guess mount the offense without losing everything. He bought the time despite not having charge for quite a bit of time. And he's still in now a position where I feel like he could actually go for some kind of attack, or he could try to commit, because those storms actually kill off so many units just there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a chance that we may not be resuming right now.
Yes, I think that
we're seeing some negotiation on exactly all the details of that, but we'll just update you guys when we know exactly what's going on. Not like the hypotheticals of what might happen.
Yes.
But yeah, I think it's a very interesting position now, because there's two things happening. One is that Krystianer has his army. He is kind of at that place where he's maybe about to finish up charge, or he just finished up charge. Is taking these kind of interesting fights with the force fields and the storms that were really big. But now it's the kind of question like, okay, do I go now? He used a lot of his actual Psystorm energy, so that's one thing. But there's also this kind of timer now. There's the Greater Spire that's going to be started up there for Lambo, and that is going to put a timer on Krystianer to get something done with this Zealot Immortal composition that is not really going to be able to do anything against the Broodlords.
Yeah. It's I don't want to talk too much about it, just for the sake of no one even questioning competitive integrity. We actually have now the referees are going to evaluate the situation, and we've got to say this is important, because yes, these players are still 2-1 in their scoreline, but this is a really important, specifically, game for both of them. We're 1-1 in the series. Winner advances to the playoffs. Loser has to play another match on, I believe, Sunday. That's going to be do or die Sunday. This is really important that they get this right. So I kind of do applaud the admins for taking their time with it a little bit and being like, look, because the players were actually ready to go. They were actually about to restart, and the admin was like, hold on, don't, let's take a beat. Let's get this right. Yeah, I'm really curious about this one, because even down to specific, a couple of seconds could make the difference between who advances and who doesn't in this particular situation.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. And we'll let the admins kind of figure out and decide whatever's going to happen over there. I am kind of curious how things will end up panning on out. But like you said, this is definitely an important match. We do have a situation where the winner of this series is going to end up advancing on forward. And I don't know, we still have some great other games coming on up, Dave. We're going to be killing some time while the admins figure things out. And even then, we know that we're going to have to resume from replay at some point. So we have some time to kill, man. We can even just go over some of the other games that are going to be happening after this, because this is only the third series of the night. We have actually a lot of StarCraft ahead of us.
We have a ton of StarCraft ahead of us. Let's take a look at, the upcoming series for now in the European Swiss format. We've got, right after this, another ZVP. As we have already discussed, almost all of the matches in Europe today are only beneficial. You can only advance from them, except that very final match of the day, which is going to be Battle B versus Strange. And for me, that is the match that I have my eyes on the most. Obviously, a laser mana is very cool, because that is a classic matchup. Couple of very strong Polish powerhouses. I'm so used to saying Polish Protoss player that saying another alliteration that has Polish in it feels wrong. Like it feels like I'm cheating on the Polish Protoss player alliteration. But yeah, it's going to be a laser mana for that one as the next match. But like I said, I'm really so if we were talking about, you know, like stocks or trades or whatever, I am bullish on Battleby. Is that right? Is that when you like the stock?
Yes, that is when you like the stock.
Okay, yeah, I'm diamond hands on Battleby right now.
Yeah, Battleby has definitely been an exciting player, I think, for a lot of people to watch, and I feel like he's become easier and easier for a lot of people to just cheer for and root for, because he's been just one of those rare up-and-coming players, I feel like, that's broken out not just from the middle of the pack to like the upper levels, but he's broken out from like the lower levels of Europe in the last like couple of years into the middle of the pack, which I think is a little bit more rare to see these days. I feel like we've seen a lot of the same names for the most part in Europe in the EPT European regionals, and not many new players have broken in. Battleby has been one of those great players to see rising on up. I am actually personally quite excited about Goblin versus Skillus. I'm really excited about that, because Skillus, I think, has truly earned a place in my heart as just this potential Protoss legend. I really think that Skillus has gotten to that point where he's so close to ascending to a point where I think I would equate him to almost being where like a Showtime or something would be.
Yeah,
I think he's still, in my mind, just missing a little bit more of like stability and long-term abilities to continue to show that consistency. But I think he's gotten quite close there. And Goblin has really been actually playing some really impressive StarCraft to me. I know that he did have like a little bit of a disappointing loss the other day where he got a little bit sad about how the series went versus Clem. He's saying, oh, I tried so hard on Twitter and stuff. But I really think that he's done an impressive job taking down Hero Marine 2-1, taking down Mana 2-1 so far. I'm actually really excited about that PvP.
Yeah, I mean, so am I, to be honest. I know a lot of people are like, you know, the format, blah, it's so many games. How can I track it all? And it's like, yeah, it is a lot of games. But we used to play every single matchup. Every single player used to play 7 best of 3s. And you would have, you know, like on the final day, you'd have Cyril at like 6-0 or something going up against some poor lad that was 0-6 with 1 map win. And it's like, okay, that's a little bit tough to get excited about. But when you see players like Goblin and Skillus, who are both, you know, playing extremely well, Skillus was 1 map away from advancing 3-0 in series, I believe. Goblin, like you said, had that really impressive game 1 versus Clem, and also took down a Battleby, who I've mentioned is surging. Wait, is that right? No, he hasn't. No, he took down Hero Marine. What am I talking about? He took down Hero Marine. I was looking at things wrong. I was looking at Clem versus Battleby. He took down Hero Marine and a veteran in the form of Mana. Like, both of these players are really playing extremely well, and I do have to echo what you're talking about with how well Skillus is doing. Yeah, so it looks like just to clarify a little bit, they went into the replay and saw when was the last notable action Krystianer took. When did he do a meaningful input last? Which I would never have thought of that, but that is really intelligent to like check for that. I would have just been like, pick a number from 1 to 10, and that's how many seconds it is, and that's why I'm not an admin. Yeah,
and I'll even mention, like, I did check actually during the pause, the APM for Krystianer, right at like the moment for the pause, it was 0. So I think there's like some sense of what all that came out from. So I'm glad that the admins were able to check in on that. And well, we're just gonna have to hop into that wonderful resume from replay. Do you remember the time when we didn't have resume from replay, Dave? Where things like that would happen or something, or like there'd be a disconnect, and this is like way back in the day, we would just have to regame. Like that, it was either regame or you just make a decision as an admin on who was ahead. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember a couple of big, well, one really big match where it happened, and I'm sure you're thinking of the same one. And then I remember it actually happened in something called the CSL, the Collegiate Star League, not the CEA. The Collegiate Star League, where it actually happened to a team where I was of the opinion that the game was completely over, and it was like the ace match I think it was like 175 supply or something of Roach Hydra versus a Protoss player that was trying to transition into Colossus but was down like 55 supply or something. The Roach Hydra was like at his third or fourth base or something and was like actively about to kill him. And they went with a regame. And it was like, dude, he just needed a move. That's all he needed to do. But it's always tricky because you can't say for sure that someone will convert a victory, even if it's a 90-10 situation. And that just kind of goes back to what you're saying, which is that we are so fortunate to have Resume from Replay now.
Yeah, we really, really are. It changes everything. And it's nice. It's a nice little bit of StarCraft history, I think, to go back and remind people that we didn't always have this kind of stuff, and very grateful that we have it now. It's made things a lot simpler. But
yes.
Yeah. We're getting ready to move into the next game now as they are finally in the recovering stage and everything. It sounds like that they're rewinding back about like 7 to 8 seconds. I'm actually very curious because of course this is going to matter a lot for where we end up resuming. Are we resuming before or after the storms and the force fields and everything were happening? Because that is the one really tricky thing I think about this game, is that the resuming point may be during the fight. It might not be like right before the fight or after. It may be in the middle of it. And that also, I mean, that is also like a bit of a skill set. Like, can you jump into the middle of a fight and start microing your heart out and getting your force fields down and storms and everything else?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that happen during a pause like this. One, players obviously, they have a chance to, reconsider the strategic situation and be like, okay, what do I need to do here? And that's obviously an advantage. But then there's the other side of that coin where, yeah, you might just suddenly be thrown back into an inferno and just have to do your absolute best to get out of it and just kind of hope against hope that you can rejoin after taking that little, I guess, hiatus where you've cooled down just ever so slightly. Oh, hold on 1 second. We gotta... Oh my God, can I? Okay, I can. Oh, we're getting into it right now. Yep. Cut, go.
All right. We are back, and it looks like we're resuming in right after the force fields were expiring. The charge has finished up, and it looks like Krystianer is, in fact, going to continue the aggression over here with charge finishing up. I do see a lot of storms still available, though, and this is going to really make things difficult for Lambo because he has to be able to take a good fight. He has to buy time.
Yeah, and Krystianer really going hard into the paint here. There's still at least one, maybe two storms available. Roach Warren is going to go down. Lambo has a ton of units in production, but they are not out yet. Army value is massively ahead for Krystianer. A big storm on the Ravagers. +2 missile will complete in a moment for Lambo. Oh, Corrosive Biles not going to land. Lambo not able to snipe down any important units. That Warp Prism staying alive for the moment. And this is looking really, really scary. Lambo's supply is plummeting.
Yeah, this is looking so dangerous. The Zealots are getting into overwhelming numbers. The Warp Prism finally got enough space to actually go into phase mode and can actually start warping in some additional reinforcements. And those Ravagers, they're getting so close to that Warp Prism, but instead they go for the Crystal Vials, almost get an Observer, but not quite. 4 Archons being added into the mix, and Krystianer is continuing to just buy space. The Greater Spire may be finished, but I mean, Lambo is so far away from being able to make use of that. He needs to just power out Lings, Roaches, Banelings, anything he can muster. He does not have time to get up Corruptors and Broodlords.
No, he does not, but Lambo did manage to buy enough time right there in order to get the Roach Warren back online. Banelings were not able to get the most meaningful connections, but there's actually no Zealots here. We're going to see the attack coming in from Lambo trying to crush through this army, but he's not able to do it. Oh, if he could find that Warp Prism, it would be huge, but it's a little bit out of his vision range. And Krystianer will get the opportunity to just reposition. This is still so close right now.
Ooh, lose the Observer. Also, by the way, currently Lambo is up 1-0 right now, as this is going to be game number 2. And
this is game 3.
Oh, sorry, game 3. Oh my God, yeah, you're right. It's 1-1. Oh my God, you're right. All right, this is decider match here, as we have big Corrosive Vials on top of so many of the Immortals there. Archon's getting locked behind the Immortals as well. Is this a turning point? Is Lambo actually starting to make a little bit too much damage happen?
That is a good question. Ooh. Immortals, they are still going to be able to survive and regenerate shields. Lambo able to go and gun down both Phoenixes here, which means no lifts on Ravagers here. Drone's going to try and pull into the fight. Corrosive Biles will go in on top of this army. Ooh, pushing the Archons out of the way, but they actually does still eat those Biles. Good job from Lambo to reapply them. Ravager count is very high, but against this Immortal count, it's really scary. There's the warp, and there Lambo gets the Corrosive Biles. That will mean no more reinforcements into the fight. Lambo is bleeding out so much supply. He's so down in drones right now, but can he find an attack before the reinforcements cross the map or find a fight?
That is a very good question, as another War Prism is being made, another Immortal or two is being rallied across the map. Krystianer finally backing off as he realizes he doesn't have the ability to warp in a lot of Zealots offensively, so he pulls back. That gives Lambo that opportunity to make some more units. I almost wonder, if you have this time bot, would you make even just like 3 or 4 Broodlords, just because there's nothing to contest the Broodlords right now?
I mean, even one Broodlord. Yeah. I don't think you can afford 3 or 4, but can you even afford 1 at this point? And can you afford not to make 1 Broodlord with so little anti-air on the map? We are going to see Krystianer not adding more Archons. He's in fact gone for a bunch of High Templar. So he wants to storm the living crap out of Lambo off of this 3-base push. We are finally seeing a 4th base taken for Krystianer, but he has found a lot. Nice job right there. Does clip the Immortal, but there's still so much survivability in this army for Krystianer.
Yeah, this is going to be so difficult for Lambo to try and make this work. These Immortals all have their shields off of cooldown for the most part. Gold base is going to have its mining denied for a little bit. The hatchery is going to go down very quickly without many Immortals in the mix. And Krystianer, he has finally started transitioning. He's gotten up a Nexus, or he's getting up a Nexus behind all of this. I really like that decision, because so far he's been able to do so much damage, and Lambo's been sitting on that low worker count, low mining amount for such a long time. Krystianer doesn't have to end the game anymore right here. He can just start getting transition set up and continue to just be threatening with this army.
Yeah, and you talked about it a little bit earlier. We are going to see a couple of Corruptors sneaking out here. There are quite a few Spines on this high ground, and that high ground is going to be difficult for Krystianer to breach once again, but he might just go for it here. There is enough money for 2 Broodlords. There they are. Actually, technically 3 Broodlords, now even 4. But can he buy that time he's looking for? Krystianer is looking to outmaneuver this army and maybe carve a path into the natural Banelings. Oh, they're trying to get a flank, but the storms are so scary. No, he hits so many on 1 Immortal.
Oh my god, an absolute blunder there for Lambo, as so many of those Banelings could have detonated on the Immortals, set off a bunch of their hardened shields as a massive group, maybe taken out a bunch of these High Templars, but now all of those storms are available. This might even be enough storms to act as anti-air against the Broodlords. He could literally storm the Broodlords to death.
He might just be able to do that. The Broodlords need to be targeting down those High Templar manually. Krystianer is way ahead in supply, but he is a little bit struggling to deal with this Broodlord tech, and he's not really landing big storms on the Broodlords. This might allow Lambo to hold. He is so far down in economy, and there is the Stalker warping. +2 Blink Stalker's going to find 1, 2 Broodlords. 3rd one is going to go down for sure, and I think Krystianer is punching his ticket.
He absolutely is. There it is. GG. Krystianer takes the 2-1 against Lambo and is going to qualify himself for the playoffs. Absolutely well done there by Krystianer. Found a really beautiful timing there. I think really all getting set up with that kind of earlier